This is going to sound like so much hate, and I swear it's not. Welcome back to the Warner Brothas Podcast. I'm Kyle, joined today by my brother Keenan, joined today by Brandon Petty. What's up, fellas?
What's up?
We get to talk a little NBA today, Kyle. We haven't had a
time.
full NBA pod since the finals, really. We've had like a few in between there, but like, it's been a minute, and golly, am I excited for it. Am I excited?
Yeah, I want to apologize on behalf of this podcast because we get wrapped up in the NFL, which we should. The NFL is king. We still love the NBA, but we've strayed away from, I think last year we didn't even get a full NBA preview pod out. So last year was the first time in the history. And tonight we're like, you know what? Let's just get one out. I had something lined up. This actually went a few different ways within the last 24 hours. I actually had a game set up, but then I switched it. If you listened last week, we did my NFL tiers for week 6, post week 6 NFL tiers. And I had said last year, I said it probably 2 or 3 times that I wanted to do NBA tiers. Never got around to it. And I said, hey, this is the perfect opportunity to do NBA tiers today. It's not preseason anymore. Obviously, we are 2 games in for all these teams, I believe. I don't think there's any teams that are 3 games in.
Nope.
Loaded NBA Friday night. That's like kind of the NBA's night really throughout the season is Friday night. So give you some NBA tiers. I'm planning and I'm hoping to do these like every 2 months. So, you know, it's mid-October, late October now. I'll do one probably between
Right
Christmas.
after the Emirates Cup, somewhere around there, like right after that in-season.
Could.
Yeah.
I was
And
thinking around the Christmas games, I'll probably do one. And then I'll probably do one after the
pre-Christmas.
All-Star break. And then right before the playoffs would be my plan.
Yeah,
So every
yeah,
2 months, roughly.
Yeah, quarterly tiers kind of thing as of like NBA season 25, like 20 games in each. That makes sense.
Sure. And, real quick, season started on Tuesday. We've already had some just memorable moments from the season. We've had, if you're a Thunder fan, you've watched your team play back-to-back games in double overtime. I'm already tired of the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander foul discourse. People are talking about how many times he's been to the line. And I'm like, yo, he's played 4 more quarters than every other player. He's literally played like a full game more than all these other players. He already gets to the line. Scorers do get to the line. He's going to get to the line more if you play 2 double overtime games. We've seen Wemby just break our brain on what an NBA player could be in his first game in his 3rd season. We've seen Steph Curry and the Warriors look great. We've seen a lot. We've got Knicks Celtics on right now.
Aaron Gordon with the 50 piece. I gotta mention
Aaron Gordon, Aaron Gordon going Steph on
ball.
Steph, by the way.
Crazy. And I just want to mention one thing before you continue to go on with this whole Shea thing real quick. I've watched both of these games in its totality. Obviously, it was the first game of the season, and it was the first game of a 2-night slate. So, like, they were standalone games in both instances. There weren't many fouls where they were fouls. Like, he was going to the basket, he was driving, he was getting hit. Like, even the play with Durant, like, it was a pump fake, and Durant jumped into him. I watched Dwayne Wade do that all the time. Like, that, I watched Kobe do that all the time. And it was just smart. Like, hey.
Score 101.
And also, I watched him while he was laying on the ground in the Pacers game. He was like, I am tired. And just like I would be tired too. Like, I haven't played basketball in 4 or 5 months, like actual games, and you're in back-to-back 58-minute games. Like, I'd be tired too. And if I can take a break, get to the line, and make 2 free throws, I would do it too. Like, what do you mean? Like, he hasn't done anything out of the realm of like, come on, now that's just terrible. So the first 2 games, I mean, Jordan, Kobe, all the greats get to the line at a high level. So
yeah, consistently too.
There were times last year where I understood the gripe and I understood what people were going for. These first 2 games, I think people are more so just looking at the number of free throws and not actually looking at the fouls in which were committed, in my personal opinion. I don't think these 2 first games would be anything for foul baiting. He's just playing the game properly. Smartly.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been on the times I have been on Twitter in these last 2 days, it's like the most annoying shit in the world that I've seen, honestly. Like, people are posting clips of SGA drawing fouls that are like the most normal fouls you've ever seen. And it's like, come on, like, have you guys ever watched basketball at this point?
Can I just pause real quick?
Sure.
Just want to say Victor Wembanyama did just kind of get dunked on by Zion on play one. Maybe he's the kryptonite. Go on.
That's if there's one player I'd want to see meet Wemby at the rim, it would be Zion. So I kind of need to see
skinnier
this.
Zion. Okay, that's all I had to say. Sorry to interrupt, but we're talking basketball.
No, it's just 2 days in. 2 days in, we've already got traditional social media NBA discourse, which I really shouldn't pay any attention to, but sometimes it's inescapable. And I didn't even mention we've got a whole gambling scandal. We had a player and a coach whose careers are probably ended by getting nabbed by the feds. Weirdest part about Rozier, if I want to talk about this real quick, is he actually was cleared last year by the NBA. Or maybe it was this summer. I don't know when it was.
And then they reopened it up and looked right back into it.
So that's very interesting to me.
But they caught it the day after. Like, there wasn't like it was new news. Like, when they caught, like they said, like the game that was in question that he threw, everybody was, they were betting people went right to the NBA and said, hey, this happened. And the NBA even saw like, hey, okay, it happened. And then afterward they cleared him, which made no sense. Because like,
there's $200K that they put on there.
Yeah,
like, that's a red flag.
Bro, no one's betting that much on Terry Rozier. I'm sorry, like, no one's betting that much on Terry Rozier. He's not one of these guys where it's like, oh, I gotta put my hard-earned cash on Terry Rozier. Oh, Wemby got him twice on the next possession, though. Don't worry. don't you guys worry. Okay.
Might have to get leaked pass going here. All right,
Kyle.
Yeah, we can jump right into it. We will. I'm sure as we go through this, we will have general discussion about the NBA as we go through these teams.
Of course,
I'm welcoming the debate as we go through these. After I will throw some rapid fire questions at y'all that will kind of read predictions for the NBA season, for the postseason, et cetera, et cetera. And then part 2 of this podcast, you will get our NFL picks the same time this is released. So this will be part 1, NFL picks, and part 2. Without further ado, we will go from the bottom to the top, unless you guys prefer the other way.
Nope.
You go bottom top.
All right, let's do it. This first category is called Deport Them Back to New Jersey. It is the Brooklyn Nets. They are by themselves. This is a weird team. A lot of NBA analysts would say, and a lot of draft experts would say, they whiffed on all their picks in this past draft. I don't even know if that's possible. I think they'll probably hit on one, but it's such a weird team. I don't like them in New York. I don't know what they're doing. This team, they've been in Brooklyn for 15 years now, maybe 14, something, over a decade. And it doesn't seem like they have an actual fan base or an identity. It's cool that they're in Brooklyn, but I just bring them back to Jersey. They had a much more of an identity over there, being just the Knicks' little brother. They had a little rivalry. No one gives a fuck about the Brooklyn Nets. And again, they're weird, and they seem to have a good coach, but like, I just don't know what the hell they're doing from here to the rest of the decade, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's why I got them in this category. I dedicated their own category. Obviously, there's other teams who are probably just as bad as them, but I think they've got it a little worse.
I'm good with you having them here. There's not really much to spend a lot of time on them. I think the only other team that you would have down there would be the Jazz, roughly. But like, shout out to the Jazz. They did get a blowout win over the Clip Show. The Jazz seem to do this every year, where the first 15 games they play decent, then afterwards the talent level kind of reaches level, and they don't. And they just end up going back down and keep falling. But no, genuinely, I'm fine with Brooklyn being here. I was kind of, when they drafted Igor Demon first, 8th overall, I was a little shocked. I thought that that was a guy who was going to fall out of the lottery, personally. I thought, if he not the back half, but hey, if they feel like they got their guy, they feel like they got their guy.
Yeah, I also agree too. I mean, there's not much to say. I agree. They don't really have a direction. Like, if you look at the team top to bottom, it's kind of like, all right, like, what are we doing? Like, there's a bunch of young guys, but like Keenan said, like, the pick isn't that high. He was like a consensus, like 13 to 17 kind of guy, like late lottery. And then they drafted Ben Surratt, and then Danny Wolf as well too. Like fine players, but like with everything else, like I think Cam Thomas and MPJ is probably their two best players. And they don't even really want Cam Thomas from the sounds of it. I mean, yeah, this team has no direction. Like I can't really think of like what the direction would be looking at their roster because like even the young talent like isn't that great. So it's kind of like I kind of feel like this team's just going to be an NBA purgatory for the next 5 years.
Yeah, they'll be a team where I think one of those three players will pan out offensively because all of them have more so offensive talent. I think one of the three will probably pan out to be solid, and Cam Thomas is a player that I would look for on some of these contending teams for a punch. I would like if you can try to get him. Not that I think he'll be easy to get, but one that I would look at. They'll be in trade talks like Cam Johnson was last year. He was in trade talks all throughout the year.
Yeah, Cam Thomas unfortunately cost himself a lot of money betting on himself. Could have got quite a deal last year, quite an extension last year, and then ended up getting what would be like a mid-level contract with the Nets this offseason because he waited so long instead of just taking what he got last year. Unfortunate for him. Next category. And you could no, I won't say that. But this is the AJ. Am I saying this right? Dybantsa sweepstakes.
Dybantsa.
AJ Dybantsa sweepstakes. New England kid. Shouts to him. We're gonna have back-to-back New England kids at number 1 between him and Cooper Flagg. AJ Dybantsa sweepstakes, and I just got 2 teams in here, and you could really probably put in more, but you'll see as I go through. There's a lot of just section tiers here, very specific tiers. I only got the Wizards and the Jazz here. They're for sure going to be the bottom of the barrel in each of their conferences. Nets, they'll obviously be there too, but I think these teams at least have direction, right? I think both these teams have young talent. The Jazz in particular, they have Lauri Markkanen. I don't think he finishes the season there, but he alone can, win you some games. I mean, as we know, they they put the whooping on the Clippers, like you said the other night, Keenan. Any other teams you would include in here?
To be honest, off the top of my head, no. Not that I can think of. But maybe depending on how you feel about them, Charlotte could Charlotte just seems like they're a talented, unserious team. So I don't really know. That would be the only other team I could think of right now. To be quite honest with you, would be Charlotte.
Charlotte, that's a tricky team though.
Yeah, no, but they're a team that has enough talent to where they could fall into 30 to 34 wins and not be. I mean, obviously we saw the Mavericks get the 1 pick last year as with terrible odds, but you mean this they are both going to be the worst team in the league record wise, or looking like they could be around there. I don't think the Hornets.
That was nice, Keenan. You said terrible odds. They had essentially no odds. They had a 1%.
They had no odds. They had absolutely no odds, but they managed.
Dark magic.
So that's essentially that would be the only other team you could semi-consider. But I'm glad with just I'm fine with only these 2 teams being there. I think Charlotte's a little better.
Yeah, I'm fine with these 2 teams being here too. I actually like the Jazz a little bit more. I think the Jazz have more direction, especially with I think they got 2 great players, Ace Bailey and Walter Clayton.
Mm-hmm. Walt Lake City.
Yeah. Gator great. Obviously Lauri. I agree with Kyle. I don't think Lauri's going to be on that team come trade deadline. I think they probably will move him if they're smart because they'll probably get a haul for him from a contender. I like the Wizards too, great young talent, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George. They got a couple of other guys there. Yeah, Bilal Coulibaly. I love their young talent too. I think if Trey Johnson, obviously. I think they have a good chance to where 2 to 4 of those guys pan out. I'm kind of thinking Bub Carrington, Sarr. I think Sarr is going to be something. Trey Johnson, Coulibaly could be a good role player, if not a good starter. I think they're a year or 2 away. But I do agree. I think, and it's not for a lack of talent. I think it's just because they're so young. And I think the Jazz, especially too, once they move away from Laurie, are going to kind of trend in the youth direction too. So I have no issue with these two teams being.
For sure, for sure. And what's tricky about this compared to the NFL is we have this dumbass play-in tournament that I hate, and I will continue to hate, and I will continue to not promote. I think it's the most ridiculous thing to play 82 games, and then, 75% of the league, maybe more, has a chance of making the playoffs. That's ridiculous to me. So
67%, 20 out of 30 teams. 20 out of 30 teams have a chance to
good math
actually
right
make
there.
the playoffs.
Good math right there. 67%, exactly. Like, that's ridiculous to me. So, you're going to have a lot of teams that the Jazz actually in particular have run into this problem the last 2 years. They are more than good enough to make the play-in, and then they just kind of have to tank. They kind of have to fake injuries or trade guys and then lose the second half of their season. I think it was 2 seasons ago, they were like right in the playoff mix, let alone the play-in mix.
Yeah.
So with that, I mean, there's teams here near the bottom that I'm going to speak of right here that are probably just by default going to be in the play-in territory. And then, if they don't make it, they'll be in the Dybantsa, whatever, sweepstakes. So we'll get into that right now, actually. Again, these are pretty listless. And again, I want to reiterate, same thing I say during the NFL. This isn't a ranking system. This is a tiers. Maybe as the season goes on, much like the NFL, it will kind of turn into more of a rankings system than a tiers. But when it's your very first one, it's more of just like, where do these teams stand right now? This next tier is called teams that play basketball in the NBA. These teams are listless. I really could care less about these teams. And maybe that's unfair because they actually have some fun players. I will say that. I think these teams are actually decent with talent. And they really honestly even kind of fall into the next category, but that's a very specific category, and you'll obviously see then. But these two teams that are in this category are the Raptors and the Suns. Teams that play basketball in the NBA. You can tell I'm unenthused about these teams. The Raptors, I just have truly no clue what their direction is, though I do think they have a collection of decent talent. I just don't know what the hell they're doing with that talent. I don't know what they're doing at all. Suns, obviously, this is a reset season. And even though this is a pretty negative tier title, kind of like some of the Suns players. And I think they'll be much more fun to watch, honestly, even than when they had Durant these last 2 years. They were a very unhappy team. We'll get to see Devin Booker once again by himself. This Jalen Green experiment with Devin Booker that they'll have. They've got young talent. They've got a new coach. So I'm very interested to see, honestly, how they do. And these are teams, both of them could find their way into the playoffs, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they're on the outside looking in.
Brandon, you go off.
Go
after.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I do like the Raptors. Emmanuel quickly, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, Grady Dick, Ochai Agbaji. I think they have real players there. I do agree, like the fit's kind of like a little interesting because none of those guys can really shoot. Grady Dick's like technically like the shooter on the team, which is a great option because he's a terrific 3-point shooter. Obviously Jakob Poeltl too. The fit is definitely interesting. I think if they can, I think the biggest thing for that team, if they stay healthy, then I think they do have a chance to kind of sneak in as a 9th seed or a 10th seed into the play-in, and I think they could make a little noise as a tough out if they win through and they're the 8th seed. Phoenix, I do like Phoenix this year as well too. It's going to be interesting how the whole like kind of backcourt works out with Devin Booker, Jalen Green, Grayson Allen. I did like Dylan Brooks. I actually, I think they have better top end talent, obviously with Devin Booker, but I actually prefer the Raptors over the Suns. Like at least on paper, obviously that could definitely change as the season goes on. I think it definitely depends on what you get out of Jalen Green, and then too, like if Mark Williams can stay healthy, like I think that would be a big plus for them. And then what do you get out of Malawatch? Again, I think they could sneak in maybe as a 9th or 10th seed. It really just depends on how the West is this year. But I have no issue with either of these teams being in that tier.
Yeah, I like both of the teams being there. I think the Raptors are solid. They're just like, they feel like an AAU team because they just feel like they're a collection of talented players that kind of don't really fit together in AAU. It's not all about fit. It's more so about just some player. I mean, obviously the great teams, the really good AAU teams have fit to them, but a lot of the time it's just like, hey, best players in the area. And I think this team just has some talent on it. So they just go out there, play basketball, and they'll fall into some games. Like they'll win. Like they'll beat the Hawks when you don't expect them to, because we expect the Hawks to be a good team this year. And then Phoenix, they just feel like they have no middle. And what I mean by that is they have like bigs, and guards. That's it. Like Royce O'Neal's their forward, but like they have Richards, they have Williams, they have Malowach. And Dylan Brooks is like that intermediate-ish, but they have like Booker, and then they don't really have much else there. And the thing that with the Suns that we thought a lot last year is they really didn't have like a lot of versatility. They only had guards, and then they got rid of Durant. They don't have Beal, and they're like, hey, let's go get Williams, let's go get Richards, let's go get Malowach. Is like, hey, let's go get only bigs. So I just think their roster needs to be more cohesive. But overall, I'm good with this tier.
You know what I want to do? Actually, Keenan, since you're our graphics team, you're the Warner Brothas Podcast graphics team. What I want to do is I want to switch this tier with the next tier I'm going to announce. So like when they're printed out, I want this tier actually behind, because I do think the Raptors and Suns are actually better than the two teams I'm about to name. All right, so this next tier is called Play-in Dynasties. These two teams in particular in each conference,
Chicago Bulls and Miami Heat.
Yeah,
you've got one of them. You've got one of them. You've got the Chicago Bulls. Can you guess the Western Conference Play-in Dynasty?
Sacramento Kings.
You got it. You got it. This is the Bulls and the Kings. The Kings straight up look like they built this team specifically to be in the play-in. The Bulls actually do that. Like the Bulls literally want to be between 36 and 42 wins each year. Like we know they built their team to be only in the play-in. The Kings look like they specifically designed this roster post Light the Beam season, post Warriors Kings classic first round. They said, you know what? How can we make this team as annoying as possible for our fan? Like how can we make our fan base hate us? Let's trade all of our best players. Let's not sign
DeMar DeRozan. Let's bring him in.
Let's try to matter of fact, let's try to become the Eastern Conference Play-in Dynasty in the Chicago Bulls and bring DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine in. What do we need De'Aaron Fox for? Almost called him Derek Fox. I don't understand this team. This team had De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis. They had Mike Brown, and then they decided to fire Mike Brown. They decided to trade De'Aaron Fox for no reason. Like they didn't have to trade him at all. They said, "Here you go, Spurs."
And they didn't get much for him.
They
that like the Spurs was a heist. Again, they didn't get talked about because Luka got traded 2 days before.
Yeah.
So Luka was traded, so it was like, this De'Aaron Fox deal doesn't really make a difference. But Spurs didn't give up much at all. They kept Castle, Champagny, Vassell. They got rid of Zach Collins, who the Spurs were looking to get rid of. Everyone in Spurs Nation was like, yeah, can we get rid of Zach Collins? He doesn't need to be on this roster. And they're like, yeah, sure. You have him and Trey Jones. We'll call it a day.
The craziest thing about the Kings, though, is like post 2002 when they made a run with that Chris Webber, Mike Bibby team, Vlade Divac, all those guys. They had a few more competitive years, and then since then it was just like mediocrity. They didn't know how to build a team, didn't know how to hire the right coach. They had Mike Malone at one time and was successful with him and fired him. Had like just messed up Boogie Cousins' entire career while he was there, and then had literally a year and a half of like actual competence, like made smart moves, built a team that made sense around their two best players. They're the only team. Granted, they had Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox at one point, and they have Zach LaVine to show for it. Like, what are we doing here?
They traded Halliburton in the Sabonis deal, which obviously worked out-ish pretty much for both teams.
Call it fair.
They
had at least call it fair.
Yeah, they had Fox, and Sabonis helped get them. If they were still on the same trajectory, the Kings, you would have looked at them like, okay, they're still like a perennial playoff team, Fox and Sabonis. And then obviously we just watched the Pacers get to Game 7 of the NBA Finals last year. I think they're happy with Halliburton. So like it was one of those trades where you don't look back like, oh man, they fleeced the Kings. But
I've just never seen a team have, again, like just a quick bout of competence where it's like, oh my God, this team actually gets it. And then they're like, "No, guys, just kidding. We're gonna undo all that good
work. We're not serious.
We're very unserious." And then the Bulls are actually fun. They're young and they're fun. Again, they want to be in this zone of between like 34 or 42 wins, but they're actually kind of fun. Do they have direction? Will they actually go and get a star someday? Probably not, because their front office is hella cheap, which is a shame because the Bulls are one of the standard landmark franchises in the NBA, and one of the best fan bases in the NBA. Like when the United Center has a competitive team and it's turnt in there, it's one of the best home court advantages. So it's a shame 100%. That the Bulls are consistently in this tier of teams. Brand, what do you think?
I mean, hey, Chicago's number 1 right now in the Eastern Conference standings, so I mean, anything's possible.
It's true.
You know, like not to overreact here, but you know, they're the number 1 seed. Yeah, like they might as well be like rebranded to the Chicago Play-In Bulls and the Sacramento Play-In team
for sure.
At this point, because I mean, again, roster-wise this year, like it looks like both of them are going to be right back in the play-in. I mean, Chicago's kind of banking on young talent, like Sacramento's got DeMar DeRozan, Sabonis. He'll play probably 50 games this year, like he always does.
They got Westbrook too. Forgot to mention that.
Yeah,
that was a play-in move if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, that was
like, how do we secure the play-in? Let's get Westbrook.
How do we raise our floor a hair, but we limit our ceiling?
Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook.
You son of a bitch. I'm in.
Like, why not? All right.
Honestly, yeah, that was the ultimate play-in move.
It truly was the ultimate play-in move.
It was. Yeah, I mean, both of these teams are going to be in the play-in, unless I think Chicago, the only way that they wouldn't be is if like Isaac Okoro actually looks like he did when he played at Auburn, and then maybe if Matas Buzelis is like second coming of I don't know, fucking whoever,
someone,
yeah,
insert player,
like whoever you want to insert there. I'll leave it there for your imagination. But yeah, I think both of these teams are kind of looking like 36 to 40 win teams again this year.
Yeah.
Sacramento Kings GM was like, "You're telling me we can?" I just smacked the shit out of my table. Like, "You're telling me we can get Russell Westbrook?" Like, yes,
I think the Kings probably won't even make the play-in this year just because there's too many good teams in the West. So I think the Kings are going to miss their goal of the play-in, unfortunately.
I saw my guy Worldwide Wob after Russell Westbrook got signed. He was like, "There's always that guy in fantasy who signs players who were good 4 years ago, signs a big name or drafts a big name that was good 4 years ago and like thinks he's got a really good team." He's like, "That's actually the real life Sacramento Kings." And it's like, oh yeah, that's honestly what they did.
I don't hate that. This team in 2019 would be nasty.
Yeah, 2019, it would probably go 72 and 10.
This team would be nasty.
Like, they probably win 3 out of the 4 championships.
This team would be nice. All right.
Next tier?
What's the next tier? Yeah.
All right. This tier is called Teams Whose Coach Just Got Pinched by the Feds. Only one team falls under this category, unfortunately, and that's the Portland Trail Blazers. Yeah. What can we say? So Chauncey Billups got arrested by the feds yesterday. He's out on bail. His NBA career.
The feds watching.
His NBA career is over unceremoniously. It's pretty crazy. Chauncey had a pretty sterling reputation throughout his NBA career as a player. Was honestly one of my favorite players from that era. With the Detroit Pistons, with the Denver Nuggets, was a clutch player, was just a steady, cool player, like timely, smart player. Is a Hall of Famer. Becomes a coach for the Blazers. Had a rough time, but seemed like they were actually like creating an identity there. They're a fun young team. They would actually be probably a play-in team this year. Might still be. Actually, interim coach Thiago Splitter, which is interesting to me.
Interesting, yeah.
And Chauncey,
when LeBron posterized him, and LeBron's gonna play him and be like, "Wait a second, what happened? That must be so weird for LeBron. Guys who came in after him who are now in like coaching staffs, and he's like, I was in after I got drafted after you. You're on the bench.
Duke actually, shouts to Duke. Duke sent me a fun fact clip on Instagram about like stuff that's happened between LeBron's rookie year and now, and it was like insane perspective, like some of the shit that's happened. Yeah. Maybe I'll send it to the group chat. Shouts to Duke.
Bush was in his first term.
Right? Yeah, that's insane. That's insane.
That's crazy. Like Bush was in his first term.
That's insane. Just ending his first term, pretty much, actually. Right? No.
Yeah, because like that was 03. He had a whole another year because obviously it was like 2000, 2004. So he had like a whole another year. So like he was on the back half of his first term.
That's right. So real quick on Chauncey before we actually talk about the Blazers. Apparently, so like they made it out like he was like running these poker games, but really all he did was like introduce people to the poker games themselves. I guess, and I didn't even hear this like reported yesterday. I didn't see this on Twitter, but heard it today. He did, maybe, I guess it was 3 seasons ago, he gave intel to somebody that like they were tanking and they were going to sit all their players that night, and to whoever, and you know, they placed bets on that and obviously benefited from that. So I think that's really the main reason why he got pinched, why he got nabbed. And it's crazy. How do you guys feel about this with like Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, like prominent people in the league? Like Terry Rozier's not a star, but he's a rotation player. He's probably like he's had moments in his career. Chauncey Billups is Chauncey Billups. Seems silly to me. Seems stupid to me. How do you guys feel about it?
Brandon, you go.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've kind of read into it, and I was like, really, like, I understand, like, you want to maintain like the integrity of the league, but like, I think this is a little too much. Like, I think it's too much. Like, I understand, like, maybe if you do like do I think you should get banned from the NBA? Probably. Like, I think that probably should happen. Whether you're a player, coach, like, I don't know if it has to be indefinite. Like, it could be a couple of years, like, whatever. I don't agree with like the whole 20 years in prison, like that sort of stuff. Like, that's where you kind of lose me at. It's like, all right, like, gambling's legal. I understand it's illegal in a professional sports environment. I get that. And I get that you're not supposed to gamble as a player, a coach, whatever. I understand that. And I understand what they did, but I don't really think that, like, you're not harming anybody. You're not killing someone. You're not robbing someone. Like, we've got people that do way worse stuff that get 5 to 10 years. Like, and you want to sit here and tell me that Chauncey or Terry or whatever, hell, Terry had to put his damn mansion up, $6 million as like seizures or whatever. Like, that's, to me, that's crazy. So I think they definitely took it a little too far. Like, I think the FBI needs to be working on other shit instead of figuring out that Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier are in a gambling ring. Like, I don't care. Like, ban them from the NBA. Like, I think that's all you got to do.
This is one of those things where I feel things just got to kind of all change. I've always felt it was difficult betting unders in games. Like, I've always thought that, like, you do it. Like, I bet unders, I bet overs, I bet pretty much daily. I absolutely bet weekly. So I understand the allure of betting because it's fun. You're on the edge of your seat. Gives you added incentive into a game that you might not care about because you want to obviously win money, and we're all chasing money at some point and doing something about it. But when you have players, when you're throwing games or you're actively doing things that are going to lessen things and you see a bunch of lines coming in on Terry Rozier unders, that's where I think you probably go to player props, because obviously betting and the sports now are synonymous. You're not going to take the betting out of sports. That's just not going to happen. So I would just eliminate unders because players aren't going to tank. You can't really tank for overs. Like, obviously, if you wanted to get your points, you could go against the flow of the game, essentially. But, like, you are going to get taken out by your coach, most likely, in that case. Like, if, just say, Trey Murphy is shooting threes every single possession down the floor for attempts, like, you're probably just going to get taken out of the game because you're doing bad things. So I guess there's just a ways around it that I would try to alter, because obviously betting in sports is going to stay forever. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. And then the poker portion of it, it happens all the time. It's just kind of dumb to have, like, to where you get, because people are going to get caught. Illegal poker games happen every day, all the time. So it's just one of those situations. That's kind of the less pertinent point to it.
Yeah, the poker game's interesting. Like the details in general, like they definitely blew out of proportion what Chauncey's actual role in it was. But like the details they gave, like it's connected to the mob. And I know Gilbert Arenas got nabbed for this over the summer, and he's out, he's free, like whatever happened. But
I mean, he's been with the mob for a minute. I mean, we why do you think he was bringing guns to the games?
Right.
He was strapped to the locker room. He was like, "Hey, they're coming after me in 06. I gotta be ready."
Yeah, no,
I mean, that thing on me.
Yeah, he came with it for Javaris Critton, and that was actually over. Wasn't that over poker? It was over something like poker. I forget. It was about money. It was about for sure about money.
Absolutely, I'm telling you.
Right.
There's there.
But the details about the poker game were crazy. Like the shit that like they were using, like I don't know if it was contact lenses or certain like sunglass lenses to see through shit, and like fake cards, and like it was a way to tilt the game that was insane. Like it just sounded like some movie shit, to be honest with you. But the fact that Chauncey was even involved with this, the fact that Rozier was involved with this, there's really no way to regulate it. You can't really get rid of unders. That's a part of over-under is a part of betting culture that's been around since, before FanDuel became, mainstream, before betting became mainstream. And either way,
I just more so would do it for player props, like, I guess, and like you could just lower the player props more, so like, you know what I'm saying, like in that kind of sense.
Yeah, I mean, either way,
I know what you're saying, but like you eliminate the even ability to throw games for the 99%, if that makes sense.
Kind of, but like you kind of said it yourself though. If you're gunning for an over, let's say if we do it the other way for an over, you're still kind of you're going against whatever the team's game plan was. Let's say if you're a role player and you're kind of gunning for your over, you're kind of playing in a different way than you'd play, when you're not consciously thinking about stats. It's interesting. And, I really don't think it's as much. It's a big deal. Don't get me wrong, especially what Chauncey did, like hinting off. That's a big deal for the books because obviously you're making money from the books. You're giving an edge to someone where, the books normally have the edge on us. So in a way, good for them for winning. But so I get that. I get the punishment. Like Brandon said, I don't think they should get 20 years of prison. None of that. But, it is interesting. Like what's going to happen? I think we're going to see a few more of these cases. I do think things will clean out. At least this isn't a ref scandal or anything like that. Like I do think this is like on the better side of what could happen. No pun intended with better there, but I do think this is on the cleaner side of what could happen, honestly. So Stephen A had a very, very interesting take on this. And Cash Patel actually fired back at him, head of the FBI, fired back at him on this today. Stephen A seems to think that this was completely directed by Trump because of like how these major sports leagues are kind of like against Trump and da. And Stephen A seems to think there's going to be a major scandal that comes about with the NFL from Trump, from the FBI in the future. If that's true, that's insane. And that will be obviously the biggest story of the year. If something of this magnitude plus that happens with the NFL, I don't know. And people are sitting there talking about like, oh, Stephen A don't know shit. Like I get it. People hate Stephen A. I get it. But dude is kind of plugged in with politics to the point where Cash Patel, again, he fired back on him. That was kind of crazy to me that he actually responded to him on Fox News. But very interesting to me. And if we want to talk about this team that's now, again, coached by Tiago Splitter, I do think they're a young, fun team. Like this is a really fun team. They were fun last year. They edged on the play-in last year. I think at one point they won like 14 straight at the end of the year.
Yeah, they were on a heater.
Tons of young talent, tons of guys who play hard, more young talent coming out of this draft. So, I mean, they could be a team who not only gets into the play-in, but could possibly sneak into the 6th seed. That's only because the West is per usual loaded. And we saw it last year with the Pelicans, where they were a team the year before who were a talented play-in team who just had, they were out of the playoffs almost immediately last year. So you just never know who can sneak in, who's going to fall out. So the Blazers are definitely one of those teams who could sneak into that 7th spot, who could sneak in even to the top 6. They're talented enough to do it. Will this Chauncey thing set them back? I would think so. But who knows? Maybe Thiago Splitter is just as good of a coach, or if not better. Who the hell knows? How do you guys feel about the Blazers squad in general?
I like them. I like the young talent that they have there on the roster. I think bringing in Drew Holiday kind of gives them a semblance of veteran leadership to help some of the younger guys go along. But I think if they're in the Eastern Conference, I would almost lock them into making the play-in. They're in the Western Conference. I think they might be on the outside looking in just because there are so many good teams, but they're going to compete for sure. And they're going to be a team that week in and week out, you're going to have to play, because if you don't, then they easily can beat you on a random Wednesday, Thursday, whenever.
Yeah, I agree. I do like their collection of talent. Obviously, Drew Holiday, Jeremy Grant, those are your bets there. And obviously Scoot, Klingon, Hanson, Kamara, like it keeps on going. I do agree. I don't necessarily think that this is a play-in team in the West, because I do agree with Keenan. I think the West is typically going to be 10, 12 deep, give or take. But I do think they'll compete. Like, I do think this is a solid 30-plus win team. Like, I think if the coaching is kind of like at the same level as Chauncey, like maybe they make a move to bring in a coach that's unemployed right now. I don't know if that's maybe on the table. But I do think if they get decent coaching, I think it's an easy 30-plus win team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a team with this many young, talented centers. Between Jan, between Rob Williams, between Klingham. Seems like I think they have Nurkic still, like they traded back for him, right? And this team will have Dame Lillard probably next year. Like we said, Scoot, like they just have so much young talent. Shaden Sharp, obviously. Denny Avdia was playing insane ball for them down the stretch last year and probably will continue to play great ball. So I think I'm a little higher on them than you guys. I really do think this is going to be a play-in, borderline playoff team. Again, maybe they'll take a step back without Chauncey. I don't know. But I do like their talent. I do like the way they play. They play hard. They play tough. If they can string together some defense, then I think this team really can be a problem. We can stay here. We can move on.
I got no more on this team. If you want to go next tier.
Very generic tier name here. It's called Fun to Watch. And I've got 4 teams. They are the Boston Celtics. They are the Charlotte Hornets. They are the Indiana Pacers. And they are the Los Angeles Lakers.
So depending on the teams ahead of them, I think I love the tier name and I love the tier that they're in. I think that you can make arguments that some of the teams above them are they're better than, but overall, I like the tier. I think Charlotte fits this perfect. I think Charlotte's one of those teams where if you're bored on a Tuesday night and you got nothing going on and you see, oh, Charlotte's playing, say, Memphis, you're like, oh, let me tune in. see what's going on with Charlotte. See what LaMelo's going to do that's fun. Brandon Miller. So I like it overall, I think. But I do think some of these teams are probably a little better than the teams ahead of them, but we'll get there.
Which ones in particular?
To be quite honest, I think the Lakers have the ability to be. They're a team that, to me, that it depends on how the LeBron injury goes. They're a team that I don't love the construction of, but truly the team that sticks out to me is Indiana. I think that Indiana is just a good team, even without Halliburton. Sure. I know, obviously.
I mean, this is not a bad team tier. I mean, this is right
no. I don't know. I don't mean that. I don't mean that at all. Like they're a bad team, but I'm just saying. Like I think that there are some teams here and that they could be ahead of, but we'll get to those more so when we get there.
Petty, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Keenan. Actually, I do love the Pacers. I love the collection, even without like Keenan said, even without Halliburton, like they have enough to be a 4 or 5 seed in the East. I think. like Ben Mathurin, Siakam, like they have a lot of young guys. Obviously TJ McConnell's still there. Like they have real players there. Honestly, a team that I'll watch a lot this year. Like if I find myself on the couch looking for an NBA game and they just happen to come up, like I'm gonna watch. I think the Lakers too. Like I think if LeBron actually comes back and is healthy, then I do like them. Love the Hornets here. I agree with Keenan on that. Like I think the Hornets are going to be a team that's just going to put up points. They might not win more than 30 games this year. I don't know. It depends on the health of their players. Like if you want to see a team put up 120 nightly, give or take, it's probably going to be the Hornets. So I like them in this category too.
Miles Bridges! Just listen to their announcer go insane.
That was insane.
Lomo!
I will present some explanations for this tier. These 4 teams. So the Hornets, they're kind of, if all teams in the East were healthy, they would be in the play-in category for me, right? But the fact that they do have such good quality talent, young talent, like a lot of it, because they're in the lottery every year, and because the East is so weak. I mean, we're literally talking about an East that's maybe 4 teams deep as far as like who have an actual chance to win anything. So with that fact, I got to put the Hornets. I mean, they're fun to watch, obviously, but I think they can win some games, specifically if LaMelo Ball's healthy. If he plays less than 60, 65 games, then they're probably going to be the same old Hornets. But it's going to be tough for a lot of these teams in the East not to win games, bro. Like, they're just going to win games by default, I think. Celtics and Pacers in particular, they're obviously both without their best player, both to torn Achilles. They both likely won't come back, and if they do, it's going to be in Tatum specifically closer to the end of the year. Halliburton get injured closer to July, so I don't think we see him at all. I definitely respect the Pacers for sure, but I don't think these teams, I don't think either one of the Celtics or Pacers are looking for a NBA title this season. I do think.
No, I think they could each. I think they're peak a second round.
Yeah.
I think if they get the right first round matchup, they could get a second round. But no, I agree with you. But that's also just speaking to the weaker Eastern Conference
for sure. And
that's why both teams are in a situation.
And I agree.
Unfortunate that their best players out.
I think either one of them could be a 5 or a 6 seed. Like especially the Celtics. Like they still have defensive ability. They still have a ton of talent. Pacers obviously, like just without the point guard, you're just going to be relying on McConnell a lot. But you still got Rick Carlisle there. Like he's going to figure it out with this team. But I think I'm a little higher on the Celtics than the Pacers without their best guy, especially with Jaylen Brown there. But again, no real expectations. As far as the Lakers go, Lakers aren't going to guard anybody at all. And we saw that the other night. It's going to be a ton of Luka. LeBron's got a back injury. Like, Brandon, you know that.
Kyle,
I mean, you know.
No. Kyle, I just want to say this real quick. It's sciatica, which is an old man injury. But no, it's a real. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's not a real injury because it's an absolutely real injury that is ailing. It's just an old man injury, and it's one that's going to last all season.
Not just ailing.
Yeah, that's
not just ailing. Shouts to Danny Limlock, Keenan. You know Danny. He had sciatica for about 3 months last year, and for about 2 of those months could not stand. Was out of work because it got so bad.
That's what I had.
Yeah, okay,
with sciatica. That was part of what I had fixed.
Okay.
Like, that shit's no joke.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, LeBron's got access to the best doctors in the world. Like, he'll be okay, but, like...
It's going to linger.
Yeah, like what's going to happen? And even if he was on the court, who's playing defense on this team? I don't even know. I don't know one guy who can get stops on this team. Maybe Jared Vanderbilt.
Marcus Smart.
Right, yeah, aging
for
Marcus
2
Smart.
minutes.
This team going into the year, 3 days ago before the season started, the Lakers had the 6th best finals odds. That's insane. This team is not a contender at all. I actually think, much like the Pacers and the Celtics, I think this is kind of a gap year for the Lakers. I think next year's the year they'll go for it. The whole LeBron saga, it's going to be something I'm paying attention to because there's really nowhere you can trade him. Doesn't seem like he's happy in LA. It's firmly Luka's team now. Luka's going to be a great one-man show, and he will like drag this team to the play-in. We've seen him do it in Dallas. We've seen you can give that dude dog shit, and they will find a way to be at least in the play-in. But I don't have real expectations for the Los Angeles Lakers.
I think they'll make a move.
They'll need to. I think that if they have a healthy LeBron and obviously a healthy Luka, they're a team that you don't want to play in like a round one of a playoffs just because they have two players. There's one that can definitely be the best player in the series, and then another one who obviously is very good. But like at the same time,
we said that last year, and the Wolves washed.
Well, I was about to say, but at the same time, that was said. Last 3 years. 1 year they got to the Western Conference Finals. The other 2 years, they lost in the first round. That's 2 other times.
They got DeAndre Ayton's hoe ass up there too.
No. Listen. I'm not an Ayton truther.
Nah.
Not an Ayton truther.
That guy sucks.
There's not many players I dislike in the NBA. DeAndre Ayton's number one on that list.
That's Kyle's Brian Callahan of the NBA.
Yeah.
Hey, actually, I'd love for Brian Callahan. I loved being able to just throw the Titans in a losing parlay. You know what I mean? Pick against them in a parlay type of setting.
Yeah. Now you have to semi-question it. Like this week, they're 14.5 against the Colts. We'll get to those picks. We'll foreshadow. They're 14.5, and you look before. If it was Callahan, you would have been just spamming the 14.5.
Give me that.
But now you have to think like, do I think maybe I'll tease him? Maybe it'll just be a tease. Maybe I'll just tease him. But yeah, I'm fine. Otherwise, I'm fine with this tier though. I think the team for me that would be the one that would be most likely to move up would be Indiana. I just think
Interesting.
I just think that you have, and then with Boston's the same argument to me. I think because obviously you can say Jaylen Brown's a touch better than Siakam, but you both have like all NBA level players. And then you have players like Nembhard, Nesmith, obviously Benedict Mathurin looks like he might take another step this year, Obi Toppin. So I just like, and then Rick Carlisle, a great coach. And then the same thing with Boston when you're going through their roster. So Indiana would be the one that I think ticks up just a hair. We'll see the other. But
the more I'm talking about it, I think they really are like pretty damn similar. I think I like Boston's two-way upside a little more, even if they lost Horford and Porzingis. But really, just player for player, Indiana's not that far off. But I mean, I don't know. Having Derek White,
I'm taking Indiana.
Ooh, okay.
See, I would take Indiana, but I don't think it's one of those ones where if you're taking Boston, I think you're crazy. I think it's kind of if they were to play in a series right now, I think that's a fun 7-game series.
That's a 7-game. That's a classic series even.
I think that's Bulls. Series. I think that's Bulls Celtics from 2009.
That's why we're the Warner Brothas Podcast.
Going nuts. Ray Allen.
That's why we're the Warner Brothas Podcast, because that's exactly the example I was going to give, was the Bulls and Celtics in 09, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Next tier?
Yep.
This tier is called I've Got My Eye on You. I think these 5 teams could very well go to the tier below, but they could also be in the tier above, or even above that. They're kind of right in the middle. There's one team in particular here, and I'll get to them, that really could be in just the fun to watch or the play-in category, but I gave them a little more respect. But here are the 5 teams. They're the Detroit Pistons, the Atlanta Hawks, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Miami Heat. That's the one I'm questioning the most right now, is the Miami Heat, and the Memphis Grizzlies.
So I would switch Indiana and Miami. I think Indiana's better than Miami.
Fair.
So that's you could argue Boston is too. It really all.
And again,
depends.
remember, this is not a ranking. These
no. I know.
These 8 to 10 teams are kind of. I'd say the Lakers are honestly the worst out of them, and the Hornets, but they're all kind of in the same thing. But
no, I got you. I know. I'm just saying, like me personally, that's where I would go with it. But overall, I like it because I agree with having my eye on all of these teams. Atlanta, you made a bunch of moves in the offseason. We like your roster. What are you going to do with it? Detroit, you got a nice playoff series last year. You took the Knicks 6 games. Could have got to a game 7. That was a questionable call on the Tim Hardaway Jr. shot in the corner. Then obviously the Pelicans are always interesting. You got Skinny Zion now too. Miami is always going to be interesting because it's Miami. They will find a way if they have a bad roster to be interesting. And then Memphis, you have John Morant, Jaren Jackson. You got rid of Desmond Bane. What are you going to be like this season? So And there's more on that team than Memphis. I'm just saying those two, but there's more on that Memphis team. I liked a lot of their role players, so I like the tier.
Yeah, I do like the tier too. Love the Pistons. I think the Pistons are a contender this year. Love the Hawks too. They should definitely be a top 3 seed in a weak East this year. The Pelicans, if the Pelicans can stay healthy this year, I do think they could make some noise, especially if Zion kind of starts playing like the Prince he was foretold to be or whatever. I like the Grizzlies. Same thing with the Grizzlies. Like, health has been their biggest issue. It's already an issue right now. They're missing KCP, Gigi Jackson. I think Jalen Wells might be out too, and then a couple of other people as well too. And then Miami, like, they're going to be fun to watch. I think they are a playing team. I could definitely justify you swapping Indiana, Miami, or Boston to Miami. I think there's a world where Miami sneaks in as like the 5th or 6th seed once they get Tyler Hero back. Once Yafichonis comes back, like, if he's actually a real player, like, I think Miami could definitely make a little bit of noise. Like Keenan said, like, we're always extremely well coached. Obviously, Eric Spoelstra is still there. He's one of the best to ever do it. Again, like, I think a playing team, but I think maybe a little bit more of a ceiling with Norman Powell there. But I think all of these teams are properly placed.
Yeah. I mean, going through these teams, the Pistons, I want to see more out of them. They made a run last year. It was a great story. Didn't show up in their first game. The thing with me, they relied a lot on Malik Beasley, who also was part of a gambling investigation. He's no longer there. You replace him with Duncan Robinson. It's like, okay, who's really going to take that role of the second guy behind Cade? And I love the attitude of this team. Like, they're really like feisty, hard nosed, like a true Detroit team is supposed to be. But like, who's going to be that next guy? If, again, in a weak East, if you're going to make that leap, you need someone else there with Cade to make that leap. So I could see them ending up being pretty stagnant as far as last year, like kind of just being the same team, which they should make a leap. But who knows? Maybe someone does make that leap, and then they will correspond to make that leap as a team. That's why I've got my eye on them. The Hawks, kind of the same thing. We loved me and you. We were talking about it all offseason. We love their offseason. They come out, get smacked by the Raptors in game 1. It's one of those things where it's like, you got to prove it to me, right? Trae Young and Porzingis, that should be a match made in heaven. You got Porzingis in a contract year. He's over this weird ass virus that he had. Did you guys actually hear like the description of the virus? Actually,
I've kind of read into it a little bit, but I didn't fully hear like a description on it.
Apparently, it was a virus where you get like an increased heart rate as soon as you stand up, and it makes you like short of breath or something. It was a very specific virus that I've never even heard of, and apparently that's what he was dealing with basically the entire spring last year, like down the stretch of the regular season into the playoffs, and that's why he was so ineffective. The Hawks have, like you said, Brandon, they have all the talent in the world to be a top 3, top 4 seed. Will they do it? Pelicans, you said it. We all know it's Zion with them. Can Zion play at least 60 games? They've got a ton of young talent around him, a ton of veteran talent too around him. If you can get DeJounte Murray back. Willie Green did a good job with them 2 years ago when they were in the play-in. This could be a team that just surges, Like we said, in the West, you get a couple teams that are hurt who are ahead of you, and you can just put together 2 weeks. That could be enough to get you into the playoffs. That could be enough to get you into the top 6, or I should say probably a month of good basketball. The Grizzlies, kind of the same thing as the Pelicans. When Ja Morant plays, they win. He has not been on the court much of the last 2 years. If you can get consistent play out of him and Jaren Jackson Jr., they take a step back probably without Bane, but I still kind of like how this team is rounded out. They went through drama with their coach last year too. But if you can, same thing, if you can get 65 plus games out of Ja, that's a team in theory who should be in the top 6. So they could go either way for me. You guys are probably right. You guys are this was the team I was most skeptical of putting in this category. But the fact that the East is weak, I know they're young, but this will be finally a full season without the Jimmy Butler drama that Spoelstra can kind of just mold this team. And we've seen it year in and year out. At some point during these seasons, doesn't matter the team that's around him, Spoelstra will get you to put together a good month stretch where it's like, okay, what is this team? They don't.
And we're up.
What's that?
My bad. Continue. I just looked at our box score because we're playing Memphis right now. It's 84-47.
Who's up?
Yeah,
Miami.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Bam's 4-6 from 3. Norman Powell's got 12. Khalil Ware is 10-5. John Morant has 12. Other than that, Jaren Jackson has 6. Jalen Wells has 6. KCP is 0-3 from 3 with 0 points.
Look at these guys speaking.
My bad. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. That's perfect because I mean these are two teams right now speaking this tier into life right now, facing one another. That's an insane score. I would not have expected that. But you said, I mean, Khalil Ware has real franchise player potential just off talent. We don't know if that's true, but he's in the right place if he wants to reach that talent or that ceiling. Tyler Hero out for a few months. If you're in that 7 to 8 range, 7 to 6 range, and Tyler Hero just is inserted into your lineup after all-star play, I mean, he's putting up Devin Booker numbers last year. Damn, if he takes an offensive step. I saw a very interesting clip from an interview where Michael Beasley, I don't know if you guys have seen this, Michael Beasley said the only time he's lost in one-on-one is Bam Adebayo, and he says that Bam Adebayo has an offensive game that Miami completely restricts him of. I was completely shocked to hear this. He said Bam
I've seen that a couple times.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, I've seen things like that as well.
Like,
I've said he can be 95% Anthony Davis before 90% Anthony Davis.
Maybe, but I mean, he was talking about it like he's got like game on offense.
Like a bag.
I mean, I pictured him more
he doesn't even have the best bag in his relationship. Like, come on, right? Asia Wilson. Shout out Asia.
Well, I thought he was more of a Draymond Green type.
Like, no bullshit. Like, if you pay attention to games that Miami actually, like, where they come out and, like, from start to finish, where they're actually good, it's when Bam's aggressive. Like, it's when Bam's going to get his own shot. And, like, the problem is he's just so complacent sometimes. And it pisses me off because, like, if you consistently go get your shot, he could probably drop 25 a game and play elite defense. Like,
yeah.
But he won't.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's why I've got my eye on them. They're an in theory team to me. I don't know. I could see. I think the trio of them, along with the Celtics and the Pacers, will be very interesting. And obviously, if Tatum and Halliburton do not have torn Achilles, they're not in the same league as the Miami Heat. But I think when you couple how hard they play under Spoelstra and the fact that Spoelstra is probably the best coach in the league, with this young talent, and again, a full year of just drama-free, you can kind of just mold these young guys. You still got Hero there. You got Bam there. Like, that's a real nucleus. You can be right in that mix, at least in that 5, 6, 7 mix. So they could be fun, and, they're a trade possibility, too. Maybe they can get a player in there, and, they can take a leap. Next tier, if everyone's cool with that.
Yep.
This tier is called There's a World. There's 3 teams in here. And I think there's a world where all 3 of these teams could be contenders. But everything's kind of got to break right for them. And that's why they're in this tier. And it is the Dallas Mavericks, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Philadelphia 76ers.
So I'm fine with the tier. The only one that I would have a semi-question on would be the Milwaukee Bucks, it would be the Philadelphia 76ers.
Fair enough.
And again, but you're right. There is a world. It's just the world that we're living in. I don't feel confident in saying Embiid's playing. So that's really it. But if you get,
there's a world.
that's why this tier is fine. And I have no problem with it because there is a world. If this happens, then this happens. But yeah, no, if Giannis goes insane, they make a move for another veteran, sure. Dallas, if Kyrie comes back, hopefully around the All-Star break, something along those lines, and then Cooper Flag is really as good as we think he can be. Anthony Davis isn't overweight, still good. And then obviously the 76ers, VJ Edgecombe looks the way he looked. Tyrese Maxey looked the way he looked. And then you get Joel Embiid, sure. So, like, all of that together, I agree with the tier. There's a world. You can speak your way into all of them.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a world. I am a little bit hesitant for the 76ers because, like Keenan said, Joel Embiid. If you got VJ and Tyrese playing like that every single night, though, where they're dropping 30 bombs apiece, then, like, hey, Embiid's really only got to play 25, 30 minutes. Like, honestly, like,
B's
you
got
can
to
get
just
some,
be
like,
Yusuf Nurkic in the wheel game.
yeah,
if they're
like,
going to have
really,
that
like,
backcourt that puts them 74 points a game.
if he wants to contribute 20 points, then, like, hey, by all means, go ahead. The Mavs, like, I think the Mavs are going to be good. Like, obviously, it depends. I think it depends if you get Kyrie back. The Bucks, I could talk myself into swapping them out, like into maybe a lesser tier.
Got your eye on them?
Yeah, like I
Kinda
kind of want to see. I kind of want to see if it gets ugly. Like, because there's two ways this plays out. Like Keenan said, where they make a move near the trade deadline, they go acquire a high end veteran, whoever that is. I don't know. It's probably going to be a guard, or maybe just a secondary guard, to be honest. Or if it goes bad, and when it goes bad, it goes south quickly, and then we have this whole Giannis out of Milwaukee thing again. I'm very interested to see what happens in Milwaukee this year, because I think it's kind of 50-50. I'd lean maybe 60-40 and 60% towards Giannis asking out, because there's not a lot around him. Like Keenan and I were talking pre-pod. Like, it's Gary Trent Jr., it's Kyle Kuzma, it's Miles Turner. Like, those aren't number 2 or number 3 guys on the championship team. And I hate to say it, Miles Turner's a great player, but he's not a number 2 or number 3. Like, so I guess they're cool right there, but I could definitely drop them down.
Yeah, they need one more to me, but I mean, if Giannis is going to put up 31, 20, and 7, shooting 11 of 14 from the floor, 2 of 2 from 3, 7 of 12 from the line, as he did just barely, then they can do something.
Well, Cole Anthony put up 23 points and 7 assists.
23, 4, and 7 for Cole Anthony, 20 points for Gary Trent Jr., Miles Turner only had a nice, smooth, cool 4 and 5, but 2 blocks, cool. Kyle Kuzma, smooth, cool 8 on 4 of 5 shooting. So, like, I mean, I guess if you got role players, if your second and third players for him can put up 45 points, then there's a world.
Yeah.
That's why this tier makes sense for them, because Giannis is a 30, 12, and 6 walking with 60% from the floor. That's what he does.
So, and like you said, Keenan, it's going to be a shame because nobody's going to talk about it.
Yep. It's nonsense. Okay.
So I'll talk about the Mavs and Sixers first before I get to the Bucks. Sixers were really the hardest to quantify because they had an awful season. Their team is built to be a contender, but Embiid looks past his prime. Let's be honest. Excuse me. But like y'all said, Maxey and Edgecombe, they went the fuck off. Like, they're going to be, if Embiid's just washed and this is what it is, and they're relying completely on Edgecombe and Maxey, then they're going to be probably closer to the play-in. Unless Paul George gives them anything, then, maybe they could sneak into the 6. They'll be a fun team, and, they'll kind of be in between phases, honestly. And if Embiid can give them anything, then you're looking at maybe a sleeper contender. That's a big if, though, at this point. Mavericks, everything's going to fall together. They have such a talented all-around roster. Without Kyrie right now, they're just going to be fun to watch. And Cooper flags like a Swiss Army knife. He reminds me of a young Scottie Pippen, honestly. And he's one of those guys you can just throw, right? Grant Hill, you can just kind of throw him out there and just let him play, and he's going to adapt. So if they can just kind of remain in the playoff picture until Kyrie comes around, I think they're more of a contender next year, truly. But there is a world this year where, like, if everything broke right, that we're saying, March, April, like, oh shit, like, you don't want to be in the West facing Dallas in the first round, right? The Bucks, this is a team I think I'm higher on than both of you. Because everything y'all just described with what their box score is right now, I think that's all they need. I think, look, they're going to shoot the ball a ton this year. We've seen that already in game 1. I don't know what their 3-point stats here are in game 2.
43s.
Giannis was a man possessed in Eurobasket. And there was times in preseason where he was just like picking dudes up full court and like looked like a freak, like just looked psychotic, truly. And if that's the energy,
freak,
yeah, right. If that's the energy he's on all year in this weak ass East, that's all you need. If he consistently puts up the numbers, Keenan, that you just said, like the 34s and 20s, like that's a Wednesday for him. In between a 28 and 13, you know what I mean? Like if he's gonna do that, he's normally stayed healthy throughout his career. I think he can just be like the early Giannis where they surrounded him with shooting, but like the 2009, 2010 LeBron teams surround him with shooting, get quality defense. If they can be a better defensive team than they've been under the last 2 Dame years, and you're getting that from Giannis, and you're getting offensive production just shooting, he's going to do everything else to, 3-point line and in. Giannis has got that covered, right? You get everyone else to shoot and just play quality defense, you can get a 3 seed like that in the East. And then we're talking contender. Are you really going to compete with the Cavs and the Knicks and whoever else is ahead? Who knows? But you can get that 3 seed. You can get that home court advantage, and you get to a 7th game with Giannis, anything's possible. So I actually had the Bucks in the next category, to be honest with you. I actually moved them down, but I'm probably higher on the Bucks than most. And I think
so here's the thing, Kyle. In this Eastern Conference, you're not wrong. You have a Cavs team who's never been to the finals. You have a New York Knicks team who has never been to the finals. Both of those teams do have playoff experience, though. Indiana has been to the finals. Boston has been to the finals, but both are without their best player, so they're going to be limited. After that, you've got a bunch of young teams who have not really put it together yet. So obviously Detroit is starting to come together. We'll see what they can do. Atlanta hasn't been together as a unit yet. They've obviously, Trae Young's been to 1 conference finals. That was a weird year right after the bubble. So you've got a collection of teams in the East that haven't really done it. And then you have Giannis, who put up 50 and 12 in a game 6 in the NBA finals. So like all overall, you've got the guy, if there was a year where one guy is going to carry you to the finals, in the Eastern Conference for sure, this would be the year for it. So I get what you're saying. So there is a world. I agree with him being in this tier. There is a world, 100%.
Let's move on to the sleepers category. We've only got really 2 categories left, and then we'll do some light predictions as far as awards and playoffs go. And then we still got NFL picks after this for part 2.
Yeah.
Sleepers, there's 4 teams. 3 of them are in the West. I'll give you the Eastern Conference team, which is the Orlando Magic. And the 3 Western Conference teams: Los Angeles Clippers, Golden State Warriors, and the San Antonio Spurs. Let me quickly give explanations for this. All right, Magic, I thought were going to be a sleeper last year. Had terrible injury luck as far as their stars go. I've never seen 2 stars get oblique injuries back to back. That's kind of insane. That's a rare injury to begin with in basketball, and your top 2 guys got it back to back. Weird. They trade for Desmond Bane. You got more shooting. You've got a good team all around. Y'all can lock up. They can be an elite defensive team. If they stay healthy, they should be a top 3 seed. Clippers and Warriors, 2 aging teams. I really like how the Clippers filled out their bench. They were embarrassing in that game 7 last year with Denver, but you can't really count them out as long as Kawhi and James Harden are healthy. James Harden continues to put up these stealth kind of elite point guard seasons. Like he's just kind of stacking them. As long as everyone stays healthy, why not? Why can't they be a top 4 seed in the West again and, put the fear in God of teams again? Golden State Warriors, same thing. I liked how they filled this team out. I've kind of hated this team the last few years, how they've treated Steph's twilight years, honestly. They've been rough on the bench. The fact that they've got Al Horford, they've got DeAnthony Melton back. Kuminga looks to be an actual able-bodied human this year. Like, seems to play within the Warriors' offense this year so far, unlike years past. They just look more stable. So I think they're a sleeper. You always got a chance as long as you got Steph Curry playing at a high level, obviously. But the real team we want to talk about here is the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, we saw Wemby. We saw Wemby on Wednesday night. I mean, what's wrong with this alien, bro?
This is my tier.
I'll just refer back.
My tier.
Ken, are you completely denouncing the Miami Heat? Are you no longer Miami Heat? Are you all in on the San Antonio Spurs now? Is this your? Do Did you jump ship?
My job may have made me jump ship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I am still a Miami Heat supporter of I want them to do well, and I do watch the Miami Heat more than I watch other teams, but I keep up with the Spurs, and my job might have made me move over to San Antonio. So, and this was before, I know, it's been a run, Kyle. And the same way when you no longer became a Boston Celtic fan after they won the title.
Retired.
Crazy. You retired? I'm retiring from being a Miami Heat fan. Wow. What a run. Saw 5 NBA final appearances, 3 wins. What a time. What a time supporting them. Shout out to Dwayne Wade, who got me into basketball fully. So it's sad. Got me into basketball.
I retired from a singular team. You jump ship to a team. That's the difference here. But I guess
but the reason I jumped ship was different than what normally. It wasn't because they're good now. I do talk about this team multiple times a week. But this tier, Kyle, has my favorite player, and
we'll give you grace because this team does have Wemby, and he does look like he could. If there's ever an NBA player who could have like 14 NBA championships with like 8 MVPs and 27 Defensive Player of the Year awards, Wemby looks like that player.
In fairness to me, yes, Kyle, I know it happened, and Brandon, I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about this tier real quick.
Sorry.
To me, I might put the Clippers down to there as a world. I like this team. I think they're interesting, but when it comes to it, like, I know obviously the Warriors age-wise are right there with them, so this isn't an age thing. It is, out of every single player, who do I trust to be who at least I trust to be the healthiest is Kawhi. And of all of these players, who do I trust the least in the playoffs? It's James Harden. So that would be to why I put there as a world. But no, you're right. Kawhi Leonard does stay healthy. James Harden just sticks to his, I'm going to play point guard. You've got Bradley Beal. You got another guy in Chris Paul who can really take over the reins if necessary, because watching him last year in San Antonio, still has at least the point god in him where you can control the pace of games. They have a good roster. Don't get me wrong. They don't have a bad roster. I think Golden State, I do think, has more of a realistic chance of getting to the finals. I also just think that Steph is the best player out of all of them. And when you see the 42, 4, and 7 he put up last night, and like the late game shots, which I know is always a thing of his that he didn't have, but over the last 5 years, when it comes to it, he's had a lot of game winners, a lot of game tires, a lot of runs and things like that. So kind of how that narrative switched with LeBron a bit, I think that's starting to switch with Steph if you really look at what he's been doing over the last 4 or 5 years. Orlando, I love, and this is perfect. That's what they are as a sleeper. They were a team that was a tough out last year, and then you add Desmond Bane to the roster, so I like what they did. And then, of course, the San Antonio Spurs. I could go on for them for a while. You've got who could be the best player in the world, like today. As I said, he was for 23 hours, and I watched Jokic, but Jokic didn't kill it last night. Jokic had a pedestrian 21, 13, and 10. So he had but if you watch the game, like, he really didn't have the Jokic impact, but he had a pedestrian 21, 13, and 10, which is why he's still the best player in the world. Then you've Dylan Harper looks really good. Stephon Castle looks like he's taken another step. They don't even have De'Aaron Fox yet. They don't even have Jeremy Sohan yet. So the San Antonio Spurs team, especially when if you have a top 5 player in the game in their prime with players around them, even if they're not like star level players, you always have a chance to be a sleeper. So if 2 years ago Dallas could make it to the NBA Finals with Luka and the cast he had around him, there's no reason why this team couldn't be a sleeper. So I agree with this whole tier. I might move the Clippers down, but I don't hate it that they're here.
Yeah, I like all 4 teams in this tier. I'll start with the Clippers. It comes down to Kawhi.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where it starts. That's where it ends. James Harden is going to do James Harden things. I like Chris Paul being over there. Obviously they have Zubac and all the other players. Like, they have a good team, but at the end of the day, it comes down to Kawhi. It kind of just depends if he's healthy or not. Fine with them being here. The Magic, love the Magic. I think they have a fantastic big three now with Paulo, Franz, and Desmond Bain. Love Anthony Black. They have some good young players there as well too. Obviously, Jalen Suggs is still there. I think if it all comes together, dangerous team. And I think that could kind of make Paulo into a superstar. Golden State, like I think Paulo could definitely. I think Paulo's on the verge of superstar status, and I think all it really takes is for Orlando to have a really good season to be like a top 3 seed. Golden State, love Golden State so far. If you're getting a consistent play out of Jimmy Butler, then you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's all you need around Steph Curry. Because I think they finally, to Kyle's point, like I think Kuminga is finally playing within the system. I think Steve Kerr finally got that into his head that like, hey, we don't need you to be a Superman. We've already got Superman. We got 2 Superman.
If Jonathan Kuminga continues to play the way he's played game 1 and 2, where he's making defensive rotations, smart reads, and just taking the shots that he's supposed to take and abusing the matchups he can, then yeah, this team is as scary as about anyone that's not named OKC.
Yeah. Obviously Draymond's still there. I think the difference to this team though is the bench. I love DeAnthony Melton. I love the moves they brought in. I love Will Richard.
I was about to say your boy like, Will Richard. He's been playing good.
2nd round pick. Yeah, balling out, like making winning plays. Like as a rookie. Like, and you say a rookie, but like that's a guy that played 4 or 5 years of college ball. Like he played against all the greats, like, you know, whatever. Like it looks like they hit on that pick and I love it, obviously. But it looks like they might actually have a bench, which could be exciting. If you get bench production, because like their bench the past couple seasons has been kind of meh. But they could definitely be dangerous. Like if everything kind of stays how it is, I wouldn't be surprised if they were top 3 seed in the West at all. And then of course you have the Spurs. I think the Spurs also wouldn't be surprised if they were top 3, top 4 seed in the West. I think Wemby is well on his way to face of the NBA if he isn't already there. To Keenan's point, Stephon Castle looks amazing, obviously coming off a Rookie of the Year season. I think the sky's the limit for him. Dylan Harper looked good, very good. Looks like one of the best rookies in the class. Obviously, it's only a game or 2 that we've gotten so far, sample size-wise. When they get Fox back and Sohan back, like when these guys integrate in the lineup, like this is going to be a good team, and they're going to be a super deep team.
Yeah, and little things like they have David Jones-Garcia, if they ever need to play him to regular season 1. He's been just such a, like, watching him, he looks like an NBA player. He just obviously is lower on rosters. But a guy like Carter Bryant, who can just come in for 5 minutes, like if Shea's rolling, you literally just look at Carter Bryant and say, hey, you've got 5 minutes on this guy. You've got 6 fouls. We know he wants to get to the line. Try not to foul him, but be aggressive and just tire him out. Like they just have guys like that who's 6'8", long, twitchy, athletic, or you could even put him on a bigger guy like, hey, Cooper Flag, go guard him. Just go see him for a couple minutes. Like they have those kind of wrinkles to their game, and then adding people like Kelly Olynyk, Luke Cornett as well. Just all of those things together make the Spurs really dangerous. And if Wemby has ascended to a clear top 3 kind of guy, which he looks like after game 1 he has, there's no reason why this team can't compete. He has 6 blocks already with 9:41 left in the 3rd quarter.
Yo, so
oh my God.
I mean, look, real quick. I didn't even mention, Brandon brought him up, Jalen Suggs on the Magic. That's going to be such a just insurgence of just everything that team needs. He reminds me so much. He's like the guard version of Draymond Green to me. Like I love everything he does for that team. He's the heartbeat of that team. He's the most competitive person on that team, probably. Yep. As long as he's on the court, I feel like he raises their ceiling. And it's interesting to say that about someone who's not, you know, he's not a minus athlete, but he's not supremely athletically gifted. But he certainly raises their ceiling and their floor to me. Warriors and Clippers, just to go back to that, they're pretty much the same team to me as far as their age goes. Like they're definitely, I mean, you see all the unk memes going around like with these two teams, like they remind me so much of each other, but you guys are obviously right. Kawhi is really who it hinges on. If you can get So I've been saying with these other teams, 50, 60 games out of Kawhi, you're probably a contender. I mean, they were a contender last year, so I don't see much of a difference between those two teams other than Kawhi. And then just to touch back on Wemby, bro, like that team itself, everyone around him is not ready yet, and it doesn't even matter. And this guy hasn't even began to scratch the surface of his talent, or maybe he is just now scratching the surface of his talent at 21. And I'm convinced he could drag this team to the conference finals damn near on accident. I don't.
I'm very convinced here.
What we
Harrison
saw,
Barnes, we got a veteran. Vassell can score. Keldon Johnson.
What we saw the other night broke my brain. The block shot to the Steph Curry step back 3, and you're 7'5". They need to create a new league for that person. They need to create a new league for Wemby if that's what we're going to see for the next 10 years. If he stays healthy, that's what we see for the next 10 years. They will never be below contender status. This will be their last year in the sleeper status, as far as I'm concerned. Unreal.
Kyle, the phrase that you said about 12 times to me while we were watching the game, because we had just podcasted, and then Kyle had the game on the TV I was watching here because we're not in the same state. Just wrap the league up. He said that phrase 12 times, and I just said, put the league on ice. Like, it's over for the league.
I think I even said burn the league down, but that was a...
You said burn the league down?
That was if Luka happened to find his way to the Spurs.
Yeah,
but that's what's going to happen.
Because we were just talking about
once he gets his for sure number 2, whether that's Dylan Harper, whether that's De'Aaron Fox, whether they trade the both of them and get motherfucking Giannis or someone out of it.
I'm telling you right now, they
don't need much.
When they this offseason move off of Fox, because they can't, because of when they signed him, they can't move off him this year.
Did they extend him?
This offseason, what?
Did they extend him?
They extended him, and because they drafted Harper, I'm telling you, Harper's the one for him. He is the one. Harper is.
I think so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, he is 95% of drafts. He is the consensus one. Nope. Truly, is the consensus. 95% of drafts. This just happened to have one of those guys who truly might be generational. So, but like, golly. I'm fine with this. Do we just have a contenders tier?
Contenders
tier.
I'm
guessing, and then the Thunder.
Thunder by themselves and reigning, defending above the contenders. 5 teams in this tier for the contenders. Only 2 in the East, and just by saying that, I almost feel like I should just move the Magic up 2 contenders, because by default, I feel like they're the 3rd best. But the fact that they do have injury questions just stemmed off last year, I'll keep them in sleepers. But the 2 in the East are obviously the Cavs and the Knicks. And my 3 Western Conference contenders are the Nuggets, the Rockets, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Timberwolves were originally in the sleeper tier. I originally only had 4 in this tier, but the Wolves were a conference finals team the last 2 years, so they've more than earned their right. Anthony Edwards is still emerging, so, I mean, they got to be in the contender tier. So
I'm not going to lie. I might be able to talk myself to the Warriors being in this contenders tier. I think that they play at the same level as these other teams. Like last year, I think that series.
They got to give me 2 months.
That's fair. I'm fine with that. Like, I'm fine with where they are. I could move them up. They beat the Rockets last year. Obviously, they added Kevin Durant, and Sengun looks like he took a step. So I'm not trying to make it seem like they didn't. So that's 1. 2, you've got the Denver Nuggets. Obviously, we just saw them play them last night. That game looked really, that looked close. That looks like they would have a 6-7 game series if that was there. And then 3, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I do think that the Timberwolves and the Warriors would have gone probably 6-7 last year, and they might have beat the Wolves if Steph is healthy. So all of that together, I think the Warriors could be on that tier. I love the addition of Al Horford to the Warriors as well. I think that adds, they get size, but they also get the shooting. It's like a mixture of Post and Looney together. They finally have the player they needed for there. But I agree with every other team being in this contender tier, so I have nothing wrong with that. I would just only maybe add the Warriors up.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you're thinking contenders like these 5 teams, like I kind of would be and obviously the Thunder as well too, so 6. I would add the Warriors too. I mean, I agree with everything Keenan said. I love the makeup of the Warriors. I think they have everything. They have 2 scoring options, 2 superstars, if you will. I mean, a number 1 option, a number 2 option that would be a number 1 on a lot of teams. And they also have secondary options too, like Kuminga, Buddy Hield, Moses Moody, Al Horford, Quentin Post, with Draymond Green. Like they have other guys to where if this player and this player is having a bad night, like they have enough now to where they can make up for it. Like if you need Anthony Melton off the bench to get you 10 or 15, like he can do that. If you need Buddy Hield to knock down threes, like you got him for that. Like so I would move the Warriors up to this tier because I do think that they are one of the best teams in basketball if they're healthy. Like I kind of think last year was a kind of little weird because of the Jimmy Butler situation. Like I think it also kind of affected Golden State too because like you're bringing in a top tier player and a guy that has been doing it by himself for the past 4 years, and like now he's kind of get acclimated to being the number 2 guy again because you're playing with Steph Curry. So I think that kind of had something to do with kind of the Warriors last year because they eventually did get rolling, but I think now that they've had time to gel, and then obviously the bench additions.
Career-wise, I believe they're 28-8 with Jimmy, Draymond, and Steph all playing. So, like that's really good. But I mean, again, Kyle, I do get you why you're in the sleepers because
they've got 36 games together, all 3 of them. That must be including playoffs.
That was including playoffs. Yeah.
The Warriors, I get what you guys are saying. Like, that's why I got them in the sleepers, is I do have confidence in this team, more confidence than last year. My thing with them is, by the way, they got Seth Curry. I don't even think we mentioned him.
We hadn't.
So, I mean, I do like their bench. I like where they're going. I like the direction. Thing is, they just signed Horford like last week. They signed Melton last week. I mean, they're an Al Horford injury away. A Kuminga reverting back to what Kuminga's been his whole career, like as far as just not fitting that team the way he should. They're that away from just, kind of taking a step back. That's my only worry with them. And I think maybe Kuminga gets it right, but I do like this team all healthy in a playoff series. It's just a matter of them getting through. Keenan's making a face. I feel like Wemby,
Wemby just had another block where it was just like a grown man to a child block. He just had back-to-back, actually. So here's the thing. He's got, I believe, 8 blocks now on the game. He's going to end 7 or 8 blocks on the game. He'll end with a triple-double with blocks today. There's not a doubt in my mind. He has 7 minutes and 11 seconds left in the third quarter with 7 blocks.
Extraterrestrial.
He'll be fine.
Back to these other teams, though, in the West in particular. The Nuggets, man, I love this team. They did everything Mike Malone wished they did before, which was fill out this roster, get veterans on the roster. They have a true backup center. They don't have to rely on DeAndre Jordan anymore. I think this is going to be Jokic's best chance to win a ring, aside from the year they obviously won the ring. This is the best team I think they've had, period. They bring back Bruce Brown.
I agree.
You extend Christian Brown. Jamal Murray's healthy. There's not much to dislike on the Nuggets team. And, oh, by the way, Jokic is the best player in the world, unless Wemby or one of these other guys has something to say about it. So
it'd just be Wemby. It'd just be Wemby.
I love the Nuggets.
Shea and Luke aren't good enough. I'm sorry, because their claim to fame is offense, and there's not a better offensive player you could almost argue all time than Jokic. If you're talking, can you get me a bucket from me or somebody else? So, like, it's just one of those things. So, but Wemby, because how good he is defensively and how freakish he is, would be the guy. But no, Jokic is still the best player in the world. It's Jokic.
Love the Rockets. Love what I saw out of the Rockets the other night. They will eventually get a point guard to replace Van Vliet. There's plenty of them out there. This team defensively, I mean, you saw it the other night against the Thunder. They are just, it's not really going to matter throughout the regular season. As long as they're deep enough and they can just maintain home court advantage, really won't matter who they play, because I think they are going to be able to stifle teams, especially when it comes to three-point shooting. You're just not going to be able to get shots off on their main five. And Ime Udoka is just an elite defensive coach, on top of just being an elite coach anyway. But like, his teams are hard-nosed, teams are tough. You essentially got Kevin Durant as a designated hitter. If you want to get the World Series on, if you want a baseball reference, like, Kevin Durant's going to be all offense for them. Did the Hype is Real podcast again last night. John B, my boy John B, he made the case that Kevin Durant could be MVP. He picked Kevin Durant for MVP essentially. And that was my reaction. But then when he made his case, I was like, okay, I see what you're saying. He said they're a top 3 seed last year. What if they're a top 3 seed this year?
Sengun would be the MVP on that roster if that's the case.
That's what someone else said. That's what someone else said. But hey, if Kevin Durant's averaging 25, 27, I'm like, okay.
I think it would be the same situation as it was in Golden State, where you would have to do a lot because they were already a 2 seed last year. They would have to be the 1 if Kevin Durant's winning MVP.
Maybe, but
they'd have to be the 1 and win over 60.
Only thing I would say to that is Sengun's not on that level. I like Sengun's game a lot, but I don't. You're gonna look to KD.
Oh no, he's not. He's not prime Steph. I'm not trying to make him sound like that. I'm just saying if he's 37-10, or not 37-10, but if he's 23, 11 and 5, I think it's gonna be really difficult for Kevin Durant to win MVP.
I agree. I mean,
when you have that.
No, I agree. He's not my pick, but I am saying if they're a top 4 team in the entire league, we're going to look at Kevin Durant before we look at anybody else. It's likely going to be because of Kevin Durant and his offense, because they've had the defense. Defense been there. Amen Thompson's that dude, is going to be that dude one day. Sengun's legit. Their whole team's legit. Ime Udoka's legit. But Kevin Durant's going to be the one who's essentially going to put him over the top, which is why they made this trade.
I agree. I just MVP wise, I just think when you have Amen Thompson, who already looks like he's going to take a step, he could average 20 points a game. Sengun, who could average 23 and 10 easy this year, and then Kevin Durant averaging 25. I just don't know how MVP. And I'm not saying you said it. I'm just responding to that comment itself.
For sure.
I just don't know how MVP. He'd have to be 28 a game. Sengun and 20, Thompson in like the 18, and then have to be like a 56 win team for that to be in the realm of possibility. I just think that that's not going to happen the way but they can easily win 56.
I think they're going to win.
I just think the scoring's going to be a little bit more even.
It's going to be too
close.
I
do. Yeah, I agree. Like, I think that I wouldn't be surprised if they have 3 20-plus point scorers at the end of the season.
And that's going to be where it's difficult for him to win MVP. But championship-wise, I think that would bode well for them, and he can be the over-the-top for them to get to the finals or them to win it all because it's Kevin Durant.
I actually think Durant, I think he's going to be what we've seen from his whole career offense. I don't really see him taking a dip. I mean, that's his game, and they're going to be going to him in crunch time. So I see him at 25, 26, 27, 28, honestly. Yeah. But I see what you guys are saying. I thought he was crazy too when he said it, but when he explained it, I'm like, hey, that kind of makes sense. If they're a top 2 seed and Durant's the number 1 guy, like, you're going to look to him before you look.
There's a small percentage chance of that happening. Like, there's a percentage chance.
I'll give it like 15%.
Like, to me, I think there's a better chance for Steph to win MVP than it would be for Durant.
Go see it.
Because the only other player that's going to be within the 20s is going to be Butler, and that'll be a low 20. And if the Warriors are a top 2 seed, that means Steph's putting up 28, 29 a game. So I think that like the path for the Warriors to win would be Steph being crazy, in my opinion, more so than Durant. But in the position that he's saying, Sengun around 21, Thompson around 18, Durant 28, 7 and 3, and then that team's a 60-win team, he would be in consideration for sure. I just don't think that's how it will go for the Rockets to be successful. But again, that's fine. And I mean, we've talked about all the teams, Kyle. Is that a segue into awards?
Sure. I haven't really, I mean, we didn't really talk about
Unless you want to talk about these teams?
I just want to talk about the Knicks. I love what the Knicks did this offseason. They're one of my favorite teams in the league. I love how they filled out their bench. They already had the starting 5. This really might be the year where like blue and orange skies at least get to the finals. I would never pick them to win over the Thunder probably, or who knows in the East, or excuse me, who knows who comes out of the West. Probably wouldn't take them over the Nuggets as things stand right now, but I love them coming out of the East. I don't know. We'll see when we get to our finals predictions. And the Cavs, we can't really judge because Garland's hurt right now. They were hurt during the postseason last year. They will be, I mean, there's no way they don't make it to the second round, right? So they by default should just like, they're going to be favored against whoever in the second round. They should be in the conference finals this year. But again, we can't really judge them until they get healthy. But I love everything the Knicks did. truly love everything the Knicks did, and I love their roster. And then the Thunder, obviously reigning defending, they've returned to everybody. They're only going to be better, likely. SGA just dropped 55 last night. So that was my intro to the NBA tiers. We will have probably 3 more versions of the NBA tiers. Part 2, you will hear us talk about our conference finals and finals predictions, along with our NBA awards. So be on the lookout for that. This was part 1. We'll be right back.